Hello everyone, and thank you for joining me again. So what I would like to discuss in this video are for first time shooters, right? Maybe you're taking someone to the range for their first time and you're looking for an instructional video to show them. Maybe you're a first time shooter, either looking at going to a gun range and renting a firearm, or you've just purchased one and you're about to go to the gun range for the first time. Some things that you might want to consider and bring with you are eye protection and ear protection. Required at almost every range, and they should be required at every range because the report or noise a weapon gives off is substantial enough to cause hearing damage, even on the smallest caliber, such as a 22 or a shotgun, if you're shooting skeet, even with low brass or low recoil shells. So please bring hearing and eye protection with you when you go to the range. It is available at almost any store, including Walmart, Home Depot, Lowe's, pretty much places you find yourself in throughout a normal week anyway. So you're looking for Z87 safety ratings. That's an OSHA rating. It's really what you need. And then your hearing protection, you want to make sure that you bring it down to a normal level. The regular foamies are usually just fine. You can get the big Mickey Mouse ears if you prefer those. So now that we've talked about those, let's move on to like kind of the nitty gritty meat and potatoes of this video, which is going to be the two most common types of handguns to shoot, um, which are going to be your double action revolver and your striker fire semi-automatic handgun. And the reason I chose handgun is most people have a handgun, and a lot of the times now they're introduced to handguns first. And I honestly think they're a little bit easier to shoot than some of your modern sporting rifles or ARs, whatever you want to call them. Just because the access to them is a lot more common, and most people, if they're only going to own one weapon, though, please see one of my other videos if you'd like my opinion on if you're going to own one weapon, which one I think it should be. They're going to choose a handgun for home defense because it allows them to defend themselves at home and out away from home as well. So without further ado, we have a model 19, which is, again, it's a 357, but most double action revolvers are going to work exactly like this. So the first thing we are going to do is we are going to open the cylinder and verify that there are no rounds present in the chamber, right? So looking at each chamber, I can very clearly see that there is not a round present in any of the 6 chambers. So then I'm going to close it, and when you're closing a cylinder, don't ever just flip it. It actually causes undue stress to the brace up top, and it will actually cause it to crack and wear out your firearms quicker. So when you're closing it, put your support hand underneath the bottom of the trigger guard, push it close with your thumb, and then you can either rotate it until it clicks or pull the hammer back and slowly lower it down, obviously on an empty chamber. After you load it though, don't pull the hammer back and let it go. Just rotate it until it clicks with your thumb. And then that'll put it in a position where it's able to lock. So when you're shooting a revolver, what I've found is to use the same style of technique, the sandwich. However, kind of put that support hand farther forward around the grip because you're not going to be able to get that real good sandwich. I've found that it's a little easier if I just kind of roll my hand around a little bit to support it. And then you're going to want to push out, right? Look down your sights, keeping both eyes open. You want the front sight to be clear. So we have a term at work that we say when we're training people is equal light, equal height. What it means is while you're looking down the sights, the top of your front sight should be level with the top of your rear sight with equal amounts of light on both sides of it. Equal light and equal height. And you'll kind of punch out equal light, equal height, and then again, since we're indoors, I will open it, verify empty again, and then squeeze, 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 and it'll go off. And then If you would like to kind of lessen that trigger pull, you'll push out, pull back, and then squeeze and let the hammer fall. So some drills that are going to really help you initially are going to be your dead cylinder drill, right? So the person that you're with will load the weapon for you, leaving empty cylinders inside of the weapon, and or putting empty or fire casings in the weapon so that you don't actually know which one of the cylinders is going to go off and when. And what that'll do is, if you're jerking when you fire, right, it'll look something very similar to this: jerking, pushing, pulling, and basically bracing for impact. It'll cause the weapon. It's very obvious. Now, if you're watching this and you're about to take someone who's going to the range, please tell them, right? Don't not tell them until after a drill's happening. It'll make them not trust you as an instructor, as a teacher, because it makes it look like you're trying to make fun of them, when in reality you're trying to help them. Also, another firearm rule we're going to talk. Starting now is treat every weapon as if it were loaded. Whether or not you verify, you can never verify enough that a weapon is unloaded, right? You want to check them every time you pick them up before you do anything with them, just to verify that they are in fact unloaded. Never point a weapon at any one or thing you do not intend to shoot. If you're not okay with putting a bullet in it or through it, or what is on the other side of it, you should not point the muzzle of this weapon at it. This is a tool. I want you to think, would you be okay with resting a running chainsaw on something that you do not intend to absolutely tear up or destroy? Your grandmother's antique table dresser, would you put a running chainsaw on your bed? The answer is no. You should treat a firearm the exact same way. If you're not willing to put a bullet through it, you shouldn't allow your weapon to be pointed at it. Now, with that being said, keep your finger straight and along the receiver or off the trigger until you intend to fire. This one is very, very, very important and is the most common one to mess up. And I think it's because the trigger of the weapon is actually a very comfortable place that your trigger finger finds itself naturally going to rest. So the higher you can get it, the better. There is absolutely no doubt or ambiguity that my finger is not on the trigger here. Go ahead, keep it all the way up. Nobody ever got in trouble for having their finger too far off the trigger, right? If you've got it here, it looks like your finger is on the trigger. Now, I understand for smaller framed or smaller statued people, this is as high as you might be able to go. That's fine. Just try and get it so that it doesn't look like it is on the trigger. And then keep the weapon on safe until you are ready to fire. If your weapon has a safety, both of the ones we're talking about today do not. And then there's really a fifth rule, is be sure of your target and what is behind it. So that's why I kind of modified rule number 1 of don't point a weapon at anything you do not intend to put a bullet in or through, because if you don't know what's on the other side of your target, always assume your projectiles are going to go through, and you do not want to put yourself in a situation where your target and you're hitting your target. However, now you're hitting what's beyond your target. This is really applicable to like a ranch or a farm if you're shooting. Don't put your target somewhere where when your bullets pass through it, there might be cows or livestock down in the background. It's also applicable in a neighborhood. If you're lucky enough to live somewhere where you can discharge a weapon within city grounds, or maybe you don't live in a city, you don't want to be putting bullets where they could be going towards a house, even if there's trees, right? Dirt is an acceptable bullet stop. An actual bullet stop is an acceptable bullet stop. Things of that nature that are designed to stop projectiles are acceptable. So the correct form for shooting is going to be your punch out, right? This should be almost all the way straight, but so that it's still comfortable, right? Your support arm should have a little bit of a bend at your elbow right there. And then when you're looking down your sight, both eyes open, equal height, hammer back, and squeeze your trigger allowing it to fall and shooting a round downrange. Now, when you go to reload a revolver or open your cylinders, the way that I found, and again, this works the best for me. So if you're a professional and you're watching this, it might not look pretty, but it works. So push forward, open by pushing your fingers through. Right, I use 2 of them. Be careful because this cone is going to be very, very hot. Right, so then you're going to turn your weapon upside down, 1 good smack, release, and then come down. Right, I like to hold it right here because I leave my speed loaders right here on this side if I'm shooting a revolver. So then I'm going to push in with my speed loader or drop my individual rounds in the chamber, whatever it may be, and then I'm going to come close and my hand is already there and then rotate it and the weapon is ready to get back into the fight. Now, if you're just learning, push it open, tip it, give it a good smack, just 1, and then point it down towards the ground and then pull out your ammunition. But the reason is you don't want this cylinder to go all over the place and